Thank you. Vanakkam. Welcome everyone. I'm Bala. I'm Bala Ganesh Sivaprakasam, shortly Bala. I come from a village near Auroville. Auroville is an international town in Pondicherry. Pondicherry is in south of India. And since 5 years, I'm teaching yoga in Auroville. So I teach yoga, Hatha yoga mostly, Hatha and Vinyasa flow. I also have a yoga school called Bala Yoga School, and through our yoga schools we offer retreats and TTCs. And this is my dog Cookie, so she will come and she will go. Initially, she needs a lot of attention, and after that, she goes. She's a very sweet dog. So as you know, now in the modern times, as in the last 1.5 years, the whole reality is in online. So I'm also offer online yoga classes. So if somebody would be interested, so you can always email me in my first name balaganesh.siva@gmail.com, and the same as your balaganesh.siva is my Instagram ID also. Yeah. So with that introduction, uh, I'm going to talk about something which is a bit close to my heart, because people say that I am always happy. So I really don't worry about too many things, and so they always ask me, Bala, how do you manage to do things? Like you are never worried about anything. How when did this change happen? Because I used to work in corporate. I had a very nice corporate career for 12, 13 years. I also worked in India. I worked in Netherlands, and then so as the time progressed, while I was working in corporate also, don't get worried too much. I didn't had anxiety attacks. So and now being a yogi, made me to worry even less, because I realized that worry is not going to help us nothing. And also, so this is one of the reasons that when Wasim was proposing me to have a discussion, I was like, okay, this is something that is very close to my heart. How to stop worrying and live the best time of your life. Yeah. So this is the topic of the day. So I'm going to have kind of two different kind of discussions here, because one is come from a corporate perspective, and the second one it is going to be from a yogic perspective. So I'm going to use Patanjali's Yoga Sutra and his guidance, and then the first one again still based in Tamil scriptures. I come from Tamil Nadu. We speak Tamil. It is one of the it's supposed to be the oldest language that is still in use. There are many other languages that are older than Tamil, but this is the language that we still use. So we have some divisions that we use, and we are going to work from there to see how to stop worrying. Yeah. So this is going to be the discussion. We are expecting almost a year, an hour almost, to work on the subjects. So, with that introduction, I think I have, as I was mentioning, I'm a person who never gets worried for things. If things happens, there is always this shrug shoulder, and then we can go on. Because I was not like this before. 6 years ago, I'm almost like every other person who walked on this earth. For them, everything was, oh my goodness, something happens, they're worrying. I think even in the introduction we were mentioning, we suffer more in our imagination than in our reality. So because we expect a disaster to happen, because in that way we are expecting a disaster to happen, and that keeps us worrying, and it gives us anxiety. When in one of the last corporate job that I had in India, I was working for a wind energy company. I was always working for power and import, export, logistics, supply chain management. This was my forte. And then because I have a mechanical engineering background, and I also have a business administration background, so they fired me on fine morning. They called into the room, and they said, Bala, from today onwards, we say goodbye to each other. And imagine, always a corporate guy, and you receive something like this. And I have the graduations from one of the top universities in India, and you are like, oh my goodness, my life has come to a complete halt. I thought that, okay, life has suffered, and then this is not going to happen. How I'm going to live, what I'm going to do, and I was living in Mumbai during that time, so it was like, wow, what I'm going to do with my life now? Because I always worked in corporates, and 7 years later, it is one of the best things that has ever happened to me in my life. It took me 7 years to realize that change, because after that I was in a position, I was able to see things a bit differently. It is not only one, because when you have a high paying career, when you're having a high career in a big companies in India, then your kind of life is set, because you are expected to grow the ladder, and from that point, you're not expected to, you normally firing in India is very less, and especially with an engineering background, it is almost in IT sector it's a bit new, but in corporate sector it's almost not, it's impossible to get fired. And then this company fired me, and I was like, oh my goodness, the worst thing that has ever happened to me. And I was worrying what is going to happen, or what I'm going to do. And then my decision, my logical decision was okay. I had a dog, and living in Mumbai was impossible with that salary, with that with the savings that I had. So I moved to Goa. So I moved to Goa. Goa is a small, it's a kind of a place, it's a beach place with a lot of beautiful things happening, and that is when the life changed me completely. And then I went again, took a corporate job in Netherlands, and I moved there. And this is one of why I wanted to make this baseline, is that because the every one of us at least at the present moment, we are almost, because if we can if you look back 10 years back, like I'm looking at my life 7 years back now, and I see that firing of my job is one of the best thing that has happened. So over a period of time heals anything, and I found myself, and I found my true purpose, and then I'm here. But when things were happening right in front of us, we have no other option almost to worry about it. We are almost panicking, we are almost in anxiety. So this can happen once. For example, getting fired from a job is a once in a lifetime thingy. But the worrying part is not only it's a one time thingy. We are also worrying for every little thing we are worrying. Yeah, because why we worry, and then we will discuss about the different types, what happens to our body and mind when we worry, and then we will go from there. So when we worry, because we are worried most of the times, one, in imagination. Second, when we are not in control of a situation. When we are in control of a situation, if 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, if this is how simple life is going to be, then we are having no problem at all. We are going to be, because we know what kind of end result we can expect, and it is within our imagination, within our prediction, and within our effort. If 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, if that is simple is there, then it's easier for us to lead a very peaceful, calm life, because the predictability of life comes into play, and then there is there is nothing that is going to give us any heart attack. Because you are like, I wake up in the morning, and then you have a report from somebody like, this has happened. But imagine if you are living in a predictable life. It's spring every day, but reality of the life is not so much. So when we are not, when things happens, and when we feel that we are not in control of the situation, this is when we start to get worried. So what is the best way to learn worry is to ensure that we are prepared for whatever life offers us. There are two ways that you can prepare for this. The one way is, whatever comes, I'm going to take it for what it is, in a very stoic way. So things happens for a reason, and you may or may not know the reason, and then you are like, oh, I'm going to be yogi. I'm going to smile at it. I'm going to laugh at it. But this is one way, and it is not the easy way. Because if it's easy, then the whole world, all the psychiatrists and most of the people will go out of job. All the people will who produces Prozac and those kind of things will go out of job. Because because we, as I was mentioning, we worry when we are only not in control of the situation. Imagine a thing happens, and you kind of predicted predicted a response to response to an environment, and at this point you're not worried anymore. Because, for example, in my case, I got fired, and then my preparation for the whole situation was like, okay, I have to leave Mumbai, so where I'm going to go? So I moved to Goa, because one, it is cheaper to live there because the rent are so cheap. And then I also thought that, okay, from a corporate career, what I'm going to do? What are my other possibilities? There I went and ran a restaurant, and it is another story completely altogether. And then, so when we have a response to a situation in which you feel like you are going to come out of the situation again. So again, preparation for that environment, for the new changed environment, will give us a possibility to take in charge of the situation again. As and when we are taking in charge of the situation, we are no more in worry. Yeah. So this is a simple way that this is one of the ways that worries, or we kind of let go of the worry. We will talk about the other one a bit later. What happens when we worry? In a very psychological way, when we worry, what happens is that when we are not in control, we are worrying. What happens during worrying? A high amount of adrenaline pumps into our body, and then we are in flight or flee mode. Any anxiety attack, you can see that the people have a super high adrenaline in their body, and their body is prepared either to fight the situation or to flee the situation. Yeah. So what they say, you are always in toes. So when you are in a flight or flee mode, you are tapping on your sympathetic nervous system. That means that your digestive process stopped, and bloods to the extremes are improved, so your body is prepared to run away from the situation. And so your sympathetic nervous system comes into play. Your heartbeat increases, your eyes dilate, you breathe very shallow. All these symptoms set in. And imagine if it's a tiger, you run away from the tiger, and this response you switch off. But in modern system, we cannot run away from our computers, we cannot run away from our laptop, we cannot run away from our mobile. So in that way, the flight or flee mode, we are always in this flight or flee mode. So always we are in tow. We are pushed to our toes. I think in Tao Te Ching, there is in Taoist philosophy, Tao Te Ching, I think this is how it's pronounced. There is a beautiful word that I would like to read. As per Tao Te Ching, he who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. If you want to accord your life with Tao, just do your job and let go. So this is what Tao Te Ching talks about. So what does it mean? So when you are in a tiptoe, when life puts you to have in a flight or flee mode, you are on the tiptoes, you are on the edges of your shoes, you are always ready to run away from the place, or you are ready to fight. That means that you are not on a stable surface. When you are not in a stable surface, this brings even more tension, even more stress, and even more stress problems to your present situation. So you are creating more stress to your present life just by being on the edge. So the worry becomes it becomes like a ice ball effect. So it keeps rolling. So basically, by thinking about it, by just thinking about it, you're manifesting more problems in your life. So you have to remember that you in a flight or flee mode, your sympathetic nervous system is going to kick in. So the best way to come out of the sympathetic nervous system is super simple. You have to flight, you need to flee, or there are one option, what you can do, you can froze, as means that you can freeze whatever the problem that is going to happen to you, and then you are going to be like, okay, I'm going to take a step back, and then I'm going to see from a perspective, like I'm going to see there from a perspective of how from 5 years from now, how this situation is going to happen. For example, if the situation is so big, like getting fired, or you have to move countries, or with your friends or family, then this situation makes sense. For example, we are worried that I have a strain in this t-shirt and it is not coming off. For example, how this will happen, this is going to affect me 5 years down the line, for example. 5 years down the line, I don't even remember that I had a t-shirt like this. So imagine. So there are situations wherein you always go 5 years back and forward. This is the only time in our life where it is good to live in the future and look back from you. And then you're like, what I'm going to happen? Okay, I'm going to lose this piece of water bottle. I lost this piece of water bottle in, let's say, in a train. So 5 years down the line, I will not even remember that I had such a water bottle. And of course, if it's gifted by somebody who is very, very dear to me, that I'm going to miss it. But other than this, so in that case, so you're coming out from the situation and you're seeing what is going to happen. Okay, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, things are going to be completely different, and you may or may not experience the same anxiety that you felt for that piece of thing that you had inside of you. So in that way, there is many ways that we can come out of worrying. Yeah, because why we need to come out of worrying? Because if we keep worrying, we don't have time to live life. We have only, let's say, 12, we are awake by 14 hours. Let's say 5-6 hours this goes on, we are awake 14 to 16 hours, let's say. And then in that 16 hours, we are working half the time, 8 hours, 9 hours. Nowadays, at least the commuting time has come down. And then in that, if you're not commuting, if you have 3 to 4 hours for yourself, there are friends, family that takes more time, pets. So basically you have like a very less time for yourself. In that very less time, if you are going to share that time to worrying, then there is no time for us to live our life. And the life is supposed to be pure bliss. So I think Tatchit Ananda, from a yogic perspective, so if you wanted to have bliss, you needed to expand the time that you're blissful. Expand the time that you're happy. So the only way that you can get this time from your life for a happiness is by worrying less. So if the worrying time increases, happiness time reduces. So it is inwardly proportional, or opposite proportional. Yeah. Again, here happiness is also, also in yogic tradition, and also in modern philosophies, happiness is an unpredictable creature also. So what made you happy yesterday may or may not make you happy today. So what made you happy last week doesn't have to make you happy yesterday. So happiness is becoming an unpredictable creature. So as any creature that you will do, the best way to domesticate a creature is to train yourself to be happy. So the best way to be happy is train yourself to be happy, because you have to realize that, for example, as I was mentioning, 10 years ago, my life for me meant happiness means going out to have going to a bar, have drink with your friends, family, and then spend the night out, the whole Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday you try to fill your fridge with food, and then the rhythm continues for the next week. Now 8:39, I'm already in bed. I'm very happy. I'm having my dog. I go for a walk. What is happiness meant completely different to me. So the happiness has become a different creature. We started negotiating. Me and happiness were like, hey, you want to be happy? Okay, you have to do this, so that you can tame me, and then I can be your best friend. Or if you are not going to do this, I can be your worst enemy. So in that way, happiness is a process in which you train yourself to be happy. The same way that you are training yourself all your life to be healthy. All your life you wanted to be successful. So all like this, you have done so many. For example, I spent almost 6 years of my pre-adult life in education, because I thought that this training will help me to have a beautiful, happy life without no worries. But unfortunately, this gave me a base. But since I have not trained myself how to be happy, so it becomes complicated for me. When happiness was arriving, I was not even aware that this is what happiness meant. A beautiful sunrise, for example. Now I'm like, every time I see a sunrise, I was like, because I live in the East Coast. When I used to live in the West Coast, every time there is a sunset, I was like, so the happiness becomes like something that you are like in constant a constant negotiation. Somebody, a friend of mine, a Greek, obviously, was mentioning how happiness is like a big mosaic of things. Like it's a huge mosaic. When you look from a perspective, it is one picture. But when you look into the picture, it is made out of thousands and thousands of small tiles. Some tiles are made out of gold. Some tiles are made out of seashells. Some are made out of glass, and some are made out of this. In that way, the mosaic of your happiness is made, and then you see the overall picture. Because Bollywood movies, Hollywood movies, especially Bollywood movies with a lot of singing and a lot of dance, and then they get into the marriage, and then have like happily ever after, and then what happens after a few years, life sets in, and then you are like, oh my goodness. So because if we think that happiness is one big event, and then if that event happened, and then what? After 1 year, the dance stops, and then the music stops, and then you go into the reality of monotony. When you go into the reality of monotony, that is when the happiness become a fickle creature. So you need to train happiness when you are a normal person. Like now, we are training ourselves to be happy right now, actually, just by listening to words like what is happiness, how to stop worrying. We kind of training our mind to look happiness as not what you already imagine, but happiness could be any form that it can happen. So in that way, you are creating new experiences, new measurement scales, so that you are going to measure your future smiles based upon these ones. Yeah. As I was mentioning, when we are worrying is not going to make us anything. I think we might have heard about this 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Everybody says about this. Everybody talks about it. Oh, don't worry, things are going to happen. Just keep smiling and then move on, because this is going to be like this. This is very good, because what kind of advice you expect a friend or a colleague who is not living your life. So when people see that you're unhappy, they offer their time to make you happy, that they give you company, and then they have to leave, because they have to live their life, because their life is not your life. So they are going to be in that one. That the same happens with your partner also. Of course, they have an obligation to spend more time. That brings in resentment, and that brings in even more problems to the relationship already. So worrying and anxiety is going to be something that you have to deal with yourself by yourself. You can take some help from friends, family, but at the end of the day, it is going to be somebody who is going to listen only to your voice. It's like a dog, and it's like me, my cookie, and me. She only listens to me. Well, she doesn't listen to me at all. I listen to her most of the time, but it's like this. So the connection is always the one way. So too many people will spoil this food. So when you want it to be happy, there are in yogic tradition, we have something as base that is set in, from which they say you attain the eternal bliss. So I'm sure that some of you have heard about the Ashtanga yoga of Ashtanga stages of yoga. So basically, the first stage is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. I'm going to rush it. Pratyahara, Samadhi. The last one is Samadhi. That is eternal bliss. The state of eternal bliss, where there is no worry, where there is complete happiness, and then everything. Which one it sets on? It sets on two important factors called yamas and niyamas. So if you are able to take care of these yamas and niyamas, it is imperative that you will achieve into this constant state of bliss. So it is only on this yamas and niyamas that we are going to focus a bit, and then we will come out of this discussion, and then we are going to see other perspective. Yeah. So from a yogic perspective, one, you need to do this every day, that you are going to train yourself to be happy. You are going to train yourself every day to be happy. Every moment you are going to train yourself to follow some rules and regulations that has a possibility to keep you happy. Yeah. So yamas and niyamas are the base There are 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. Don't worry too much about the name. Google.com knows the answer. The Ashtanga stages, the first 2 stages is yamas and niyamas. By 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 following yamas and niyamas, they say that is that we come to a place where we are in constant bliss, we are in constant happiness, we are in constant gratitude, we are in a place where we fell in love with ourselves. So if we are in a place where you can fall in love with yourself, then it is the base from which everything can work. Yeah. So since I'm a yoga teacher, and and I think I follow some of the yamas and niyamas, and that kind of keeps me happy. So I thought that maybe this is the tools that I can share it with all of you, so that you will be in a position to follow some of this. Or when you think of following some of this, you can also not think only from one perspective, but there also I'm going planning to give few perspectives about few of the things, so that you when you listen something, maybe oh, this I can include into my lifestyle, this I can include in my lifestyle. Okay, this will be my one of my tile in the mosaic of my happiness. This could be one of my tile. So in that way, you collect tiles and thousands of tiles. Some made of gold, some made out of silver, some made of diamonds, some made out of seashells. I always funnily say that to people. I'm super abundant. I have almost like less than 500 euros in my bank account, but I feel them like a millionaire, because I feel really like a millionaire. Because my cookie, for example, if people give me 10 million euros and then they ask me like dog, I will be like no, because she is worth more than that. In that way, we are all, what is worth for us becomes a comparative word. So there are many things that I'm going to say. So it is going to be in this 10 or 12 in this yamas and niyamas, so that is impossible for us to be unhappy of. So, or when you are unhappy, you are worrying less. So we will, yeah, super. The first one I'm going to talk about, the first way to not worry about things is to be non-violent. Non-violent, not to others. You can be as much violent to yourself. If you have to punch somebody, please punch somebody. Of course, that's not what I wanted to say. The ahimsa, the non-violence. Non-violence, as I was mentioning, first we have to be non-violent about to ourselves. When we are going to be when we are going to be violent to ourselves. For example, if I'm going to do this workshop, so what I'm going to, oh my goodness, I have to do this, I'm going to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this all day. If I'm going to be to torture myself, if I'm not going to be calm, if I'm not going to be, I'm going to be violent. So I have to prepare this, I have to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So in that way, if I keep worrying about many things, this workshop will not turn out to be how it is. So yeah, the first thing that I needed to do myself is to calm myself down. Ahimsa. So non-violent. I need to be non-violent to myself. I cannot harm myself, so that I can do something for others. So in that way, if I'm not harming myself, I also show myself kindness and compassion. So if I teach myself how to show love and compassion to myself, then I can use this teaching that I am showing myself to do this love and compassion to others. So again, everything in our life, it comes to us only through practice. This is something that we needed to be sure. If you want to be happy, if you need to do work on your body, if you wanted to have 6 muscles, you have to train every day. So ahimsa, if you wanted to show kindness, you have to learn how to show kindness. You have to keep repeating show kindness, because people are going to take your kindness and compassion and beat it to pulp. So you will get something really bad thing, and then you will learn your lesson from that, and then you keep doing more kindness and more compassion towards yourself and towards others, so that you train yourself to be compassionate to yourself and to others. By compassion, you become non-violent. By non-violent, you become you worry less, because you're like Okay, this is what it is going to be. You become, there is an you create an aura of peace. Who when there is an aura of peace, imagine, can you worry about anything? Imagine, I'm just using the word G for example. If you're going to, if you're a person who goes to churches, for example, there are some churches that you go and you're like, wow, that aura of peace comes into play, or at a temple, or mosque, or a synagogue, anywhere that you go, or a place of nature, a tree, a mountain, anything it could be. You feel you feel this peace only when you feel not threatened. Only if you feel that there is not going to be violence against you. So in that, when you come to this page, you stop worrying about anything. Then you start enjoying the moment, and in that way you stop worrying. So, a first one that we wanted to cultivate towards ourselves and to others is non-violence through compassion and kindness. And as with everything else, you have to train yourself. So, the non-violence doesn't mean that you need to be passive. If somebody is going to there are two things. First, if somebody is going to be violent to you, and if you allow, I'm super compassionate and I'm going to be what happens is that again you are put in this flight or flee mode. So next time you see that person, or next time you see that see the same instant, same kind of lifetime, you cannot, you feel fear, and then you will be going back to the same story of same loop of you worry, and you kind of bad do you from worry. The biggest thing from worry is you worry and then you don't do any action, and this the external force is going to give you the external force is going to pressure you, so you go into this circle. So the best way to be non-violent is also to grow courage for the fear factor. For example, if one thing happened to you and it made you so first time, okay, not going to do this, but I'm going to learn to be courageous. And that is when if you have to punch somebody, if you have to do a thing that will make you courageous, that is because only for your courage you're welcome to do anything. The most compassionate man in the world, for example, Gandhiji, when there was a calf who was sick, he said, okay, let's go ahead and give him euthanasia, because this is what the real courage means. It's not against what is violence. He was talking about non-violence and then he went to euthanasia, but this is not a discussion about it. It is the courage to take the right decision for the right moment only, and that comes by practice. And we are adults. I'm sure that all of us has done mistakes in our life, and we carry a baggage, that is for sure. And I read it in a beautiful novel, I think. We are supposed to only climb this mountain and cross this mountain, but unfortunately we are carrying that mountain on our back. So in that way, if you're compassionate to yourself, what you say, okay, this was done, I was a super bad person, this happened to me and my ex. In the relationship, I was not the best, let's say, example of being in a relationship. But after 5 years, we become very good friends, because I realized that I'm unkind to myself because of something that has happened in the past. Of course, I was in charge by the time, but I realized that I moved on from there. I became a better person, and then I called my ex, and then we're like, okay, this has happened. I'm really sorry. I was trying to be compassionate myself, and then the burden in my heart come down to half of what it was. So in that way, by practicing non-violence, I was courageous to call somebody. So if you have to call somebody, if you have to agree that you are good or bad, it's one life, man. So we are having a, let's say, from now onwards we are going to live for next, I just took the median age as 30, and let's say we are going to live for another 50 years. So another 50 years, we are talking about 18,250 days. So we just wanted to have 18,258 days happy. So we are almost towards one of the days end. So we have only 18,249 days to be happy. So in that way, if you really look at it, it is like one day. We take one day at a time. We can be one day compassionate at a time. And if you wanted to go further, 18,250 days in 24 hours is 430 38,000 hours. That's it. So you just have to take every hour and you are like, okay, this hour I'm going to be happy. What will make this hour happy? What will make this hour anxiety free? So you work from there. Yeah. For example, you're listening to this discussion for an hour. You're like, either you come up with, okay, that was 1 hour well spent without worrying, or 1 hour spent worrying. So that is only two options we have at the end of this hour. Yeah, because when we learn ourselves, when we are in learning phase, we are never, imagine a kid is not bothered about anything, because they are constantly learning. Every moment is learning for them. They are learning something. A toddler, for example, they are learning something new every day. In that way, you are never worry about anything. You are just, if you are constantly learning something, that hour is one of the best hours you spend. Imagine, you can think about it. Oh, when was the last time I was like completely free? Either you are in nature, that's for sure, in the hands of your loved ones, for sure, your pets, and the last time when you're alone, and if you're learning something, that is one of the hours that is well spent and without any worry. Yeah. So in that way, you create an aura of peace when it comes to ahimsa. Yeah. And then there is the second thing that you can do to be worry free is to talk truth. So satya. So to always talk the truth. So this is very also a bit funny. What is truth? So truth is something. Truth is something that is a very subjective nature. What is truth for me doesn't have to be truth to you. So. What is truth? Truth changes. Truth changes, and you have an obligation to stay current with the truth. What is the new truth? You have to accept and understand the truth. For example, I was telling in 2 years ago, when somebody would have told me that I will do yoga online, I would be like, ha ha ha. This is the new truth, and we can either complain all the complaints we can do from the past, or in that case we are worrying, and then we are like or we are going to accept this new truth. New truth is, this is going to be the reality, and from there it happens. I'm prepared for this new truth. I bought a new Mac, and then I got a good internet connection. So in that way, we are preparing ourselves for the new truth. When the new truth appears, we are equipping ourselves. Yeah. It is again, truth is something. The only measure for a truth to be true is it should not hurt anybody. So a lie can be a true if it's not going to hurt anybody. For example, you meet a friend and then he's wearing a new shirt. It may or may not fit him or her, and then you are like, oh, that's one of the nice shirts that you're wearing. So it might look a lie, but it's not a lie because it's not hurting anybody. So it's a very small example that I'm giving. So in that way, what happens is that the truth, a truth is something, although it keeps changing with the time, the real truth behind this is that when the person sees you next time, he truly believes that what you're saying is true. You're a nice person. Whenever he sees you, he gets this dose of happiness. He gets this dose of oxytocin. He gets this dose of thing. So in that way, you use a lie, but to become a true person, what the best one is, you don't want to hurt this person. Yeah. So in that way, you stay relevant, and then you can lie. I'm not using that. Okay, no more lies anymore in the world. The world will come to a standstill like right now. Yeah. So update yourself every time. If you have to lie it. But the only thing is that you should not hurt anyone, including yourself, please. Because if you have to lie, you have to remember that lie. If you have to, because the only problem with lying is that you have to remember that lie, and you have to remember that lie not only in that moment, for the next 100 years, 50 years that you are going to be there. So in that way, you are pushing yourself in tremendous pressure. You are in stressful conditions. You lie one thing, and then you do a lot of cover up, and a lot more stress, and a lot more cover up, and even more stress for one small thing. So all you have to do is take the courage. This is when developing our courage comes into play. You develop the courage and you say, okay, I sent the wrong mail in the wrong time, and then what can I do now to get it corrected? Yeah, in a corporate world, you're going to be fired, which is going to be the norm. You have to take responsibility for yourself. This is when you're courageous, you go away by talking truth, and you go away from the victim mentality. Yeah. So I always invite people to see every day, every moment as a time, as a moment to to talk the truth, to speak the truth, to be a truthful person for yourself and for others. In that way, when people look at you, they look at a genuine person. A genuine words will come into play that will reduce their tension. You are going to be like, hey, you effed up. For example, sometimes some people has to hear it, and this is the truth. You can be as sweet as possible, but sometimes you have to say, hey, okay, cut it off. In that way, you're you're giving this person something really needed for him, for to develop his life, to improve his life, to make his life into something better. If you're stuck, flowing river is always beautiful, but a stuck pond starts smelling. So always remember, when you feel that some person is stuck, you give them the reality as it is. Of course, you need to be compassionate. So reality with compassion as a dose. Yeah. The third point that I always tell people, and also it's one of the yamas, is non-stealing. So when it comes to non-stealing, it's not like, oh, I look for a purse and then I go and take the wallet and then I go or like the Casa La Papel or the money heist. Okay, we plan like some super big thingy. That and all is very nice. I love money heist. It's a beautiful, because I also wanted to learn my Spanish. So La Casa de Papel has improved me, helped me a lot. But stealing is not something that we have to steal from others. Where we steal from our own future. This is one of the biggest problems that we have in the present moment. We are worrying and we are worrying and we are stealing our future for the present. It's if you really like, we are stealing from our generation. Okay, if you look at the macro picture, we are stealing from our future, because we are really taking all the natural raw resources from this earth. So we are only in we are stealing because we are stealing because we are feeling inadequate. Why I'm stealing? Because, for example, if I don't have this AC remote, what I will do? Okay, I'm going to take it from somebody who has it. So what I'm feeling is I'm feeling inadequate, so I'm stealing from somebody. If the only way for me to non-steal is if I feel abundance. If I was mentioning to you, I have a very less money that is in my bank account, but what I can do to increase the money, I have to, if I can work very hard, or I can go to steal with somebody. The moment I was mentioning to you, I'm feeling like a millionaire. My life is like really like a millionaire. The quality of life that I have is super high. So in that way, I really don't have any need to steal. So moment I start feeling abundance, I don't have to steal anymore. So the moment we are feeling abundant with what we have, we stop stealing from our future. How I'm stealing? We are stealing from the future. Not only in terms of money. What is money? Money is an exchange of value. So the value system we will talk about later. The moment you feel abundant, you will not steal from anybody. The most important stealing that we do is time, because we steal time from everybody who wants to. No, time is something that we wanted to steal from anybody and everybody. Like, I think there is a Stoic philosophy. If somebody goes and asks you $20, let's say, every moment, you are not going to give 20 moments, but you can give people 20 minutes by giving the phone, and you are in a chat or you are in call or something like that. And this time you are never going to come. Money you are going to get, you lose 10 millions today and you get 20 millions tomorrow. So there are people who really sucks up some of our time and energy, and if you are going to give your time away to them, you are going to be in constant worry, because you don't have time to do anything of your work, and then you are going to suffer, and then it's going to create this abundance. Uh, you're creating this yeah, inadequacy, and then you go into this whole thing. So this is one of the important things, is you cannot give away time to everybody. When somebody, you have to, okay, who deserves my time? In my humble perspective, for example, if between walking a dog and then going for a drink with my friends, of course, I prefer my friends to come to my home so that I can prepare them a tea, and then I can walk my dog in that way. So where I'm going to spend time completely changes, because this is where and I wanted to have my time spent, not on people. For example, yesterday I had a small experience. A friend of mine, coming from a neighboring city, she wanted to come to my yoga. She booked everything, and then she didn't arrive on time. As usual, India, I agree, 10 minutes, 15 minutes is there, but after 2 hours, she doesn't show up. And I was like, what's happening? Okay, 15 minutes is a norm, but not 2 hours. Because finally I realized that she didn't even started, and then she didn't even came, and then there was not even a respect. What I wanted to say is that since I'm feeling abundance, I was like, I instead of telling her, hey, okay, I ensured that she paid for the course, at least for the monetary part. But then I told her, hey, as a friend, this is going to be one thing that I'm going to tell you. You booked the retreat for having to look at your life from a different perspective. But if you are going to do the same thing again and again and again, what you have been doing in the past, and you're expecting some changes in your life, it is not going to happen. So because you are in constant lack, you are in constant, you're not feeling full, you're not feeling abundant. This is one of the reason that you wanted to do a course. But if you are coming there without with the same kind of lack, you're not going to get anything. You can fill a water bottle which has this base closed. If there is a hole in the base, how much ever we put, we are never going to be abundant, we are never going to be happy, we are never going to be full. So the first thing that we have to find a water bottle which has this base fixed, which has the, we can keep it with us, and then we enjoy it. So I'm feeling abundant. It has warm water in it, because I always like to drink warm water. As a yogi, I also suggest to every one of you to always try to drink warm water or room temperature water. So in that way, you are not dependent on sugary drinks or other things to make you happy. Yeah. So there is one, and then there is one another thing that I wanted to talk about is aparigraha. That is the Sanskrit name. The power of letting go. The power of letting go. I got the power of letting go, because we as a human race, we have a capacity to hold on to a lot of things. You should see my laptop to see how much things that I have from the past, because we really wanted to go there, and then we see it, and then we are like looking at it, okay, la, 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 la. Because as I was mentioning also before, if a free flowing river is non-toxic, but imagine a small puddle of water, and there is always intoxicant effluents coming from our life entering the puddle, and in a few years, what we become is completely toxic. So if instead of letting go, if you are going to keep all the toxins in your body, in your mind, in your heart, then you are going to be a toxic person, and a toxic person is somebody who is going to steal, and then a stealing person is not going to be trustworthy. So the whole cycle comes into play. So the best way to do things is let go. It can be decluttering your house. It can be giving away your old clothes. So in that way, you also give away negative memories. If you have to throw away things, throw away things. Of course, for example, in our community, we have something called free store. So if I don't need this shirt, I go there and I clip wash it and give it there. And then if I like some other shirt, and I can always take it there. So you can always look for an eco-sensitive way of doing it. But you have to let go. If, for example, if you wanted to live your life, I'm going to be super enthusiastic. I'm going to travel 100 countries in this year. But if you have a luggage with two big suitcases and then one big trunk, you're not going to travel nowhere. It is not going to be fun to travel with all this. So to let go everything, take a simple backpack, because you can find shirts of your size all through the world. You can find a trouser of your size all through the world. Maybe I will take my shoes, maybe one or two shoes, because sometimes it is very pretty. And then of course my Indian spice, I am not going to travel without my mother's spice. So other than this small obligation, everything else in this world is procurable. And this is one possibility where I am free. I set myself free by letting go, or I can put myself in trouble by taking 10 suitcases, and then I have to go 2 hours before, 3 hours before the flight opens, so that I can check in, and then half the suitcase has not arrived in the destination, and then I get tensed, and then I get stressed. So your your dream of traveling to 100 countries is going to be full of sorrow and sadness, rather than it's supposed to be a happy trip. So in that way, letting go is a very, very, very powerful things to do. It's not only with people. It's not only with clothes and material things. Sometimes we have to let go of people also. This is something that, as a society, we are kind of conditioned to look for one eternal love, one happily ever after. People come into our life for a reason. People go off of our life for a reason. You may be aware of this, aware of it now, and you may be aware of it later. But you have to let people go. You have to let people go, because if you're not going to let people go, there is going to be a resentment. When resentment sets in, it is again not a place to be very happy. So people needs to be there in the relationship or friendship or being a colleague or anything, because they love being in that situation, not because there is an obligation to be in that situation. So in that way, we are letting go of the toxic. There are some BS coming into our life, and then we are giving a channel to that life. How we can do that? By practice. Don't doesn't mean that you have to have 100 relationships. When in my case, I learned this in a very hard way. So like some of us might have learned it in a hard way. Sometimes letting go is one of the best decisions, at least in my perspective. We became very good friends, but by as partners, we are really, really, really difficult relationship. But having said that, one that set me really free from coming, it was like, wow, it was like, the burden has come down. I felt free, and then I was able to do many, many things. So in that case, letting go, declutter so look into your desk. Nowadays with mobile, you don't need a lot of things in your home. Throw away. Give it up, recycle, reuse, yeah, and refurbish. So everything that you have to go. So it's from this. It is from an experience of being possessed. You experience from a being of an enjoyer. For example, if I'm going to have, for example, a very fancy instead of this shirt, let's say I'm having a very fancy Gucci suit, for example. I will be like, every time an ice cream passes me and a coffee passes me, or a food passes me, I will be like, okay, I hope it is not falls on me, because I eat Indian. If there is going to be something that is going to be there. So in that way, of course, I love dress up, but also sometimes if a simple T-shirt will work, it will work. So in that way, you're letting go of your attachments to anything and everything, and this is something that we needed to work on, so that we can bring in a lot of purity. What is purity? You say that you enter a house, and this home is pure and clean. You will not see this in a house that is fully congested with things. Or you will see that this person is having an open heart, because it doesn't mean that, it means that of course he has an open heart. That also means that he is not holding on to his past, that he is not holding on to his excess and whatnots. So in that way, you from a non-attachment, you go into something called very pure. You become a very pure person. And that pure person, like children, they don't care, they don't worry about anything, because they are very pure, they're very innocent, they're ready to learn, they're not holding grudge against anyone and everyone. So in that way, we go into this the first what we until now what we are seeing is yamas, and from purity we go into the niyamas. Again, this is a yogic term, so don't worry about the yogic term. It's about the concept behind it, that I would like to bring it on to you. By having pure a pure home. For example, in my home, if I have to find a book, I know where to find this book, because there is a clarity for me to arrive there. If it's completely with two layers of books, and then I didn't have time to clean it and stuff like that, for example, I don't have clarity. Moment you are not having clarity, it's like having your eye blind. The moment you are having eyes blind, you are going to be scared of anything and everything. If you don't have clarity of thoughts, if you don't have clarity of where you put your shirt, I have to run. There is my Uber waiting downstairs, and I'm not able to find my socks. This could be such a big problem and a tension, and this can. I know people who got divorced just because of small things that has added up from here. So purity, by letting go, you become the place and heart pure. By in with purity, you gain clarity. Moment you get clarity, it's like you're opening your eyes. You see things only what you wanted to see, not for what it is. With the clarity, you see things for what it is. This is what I wanted to bring in, as a person who wants to have a humble, simple life. Yeah, in the last talk we were discussing about, even if we take 1% of the world population to be happy, that should be like, as to be rich and famous, there should be at least some 78 million people to be rich and happy. But we are only the top 2, 3, 10, 20 people, and we wanted to bring us to that. So now I have a clarity that now I see only 20, 30 people of a rich in the world. So there are other 78 millions who are rich and famous, but they are not shown to. They are living a very humble, peaceful life. So I have more clarity that I don't have to go and look at that. I don't have to compare myself to them. So there are people who are the same rich and famous, and they are no one like me. So I could become like that no one. I get more clarity to after this. So you go from letting go, you go to a place where like you're happy just by thinking that, oh, I could be the 78 one in the 78 million people to be rich and famous. Yeah, and really, it's a super funny word, especially contentment. So the next way where you stop worrying is to be content, as in content. Maybe the pronunciation for me is a bit different. Santosha, content. So you're happy. So the best way to be unhappy, the best way not to be tensed is to be happy. This is the whole process, but it is, if you happiness is something that you need to uh, develop and create, and you create, sustain, and develop it only by yourself. No one can make you happy. If you yourself cannot make you happy, imagine how anybody you expect anybody else to be happy. Of course, in a relationship, it's a bit complicated, but in a relationship, if both party knows that this is going to be like this, so we have to take responsibility, especially with Bollywood movies, where the heroine always thinks that there is a hero on a white horse and come and protect her and make her happy, because in that way we grew up, and then we kind of outsourcing happiness to all others and outsiders. So we cannot outsource happiness to others. Please become responsible for your own happiness. In that way, everything falls in place. With contentment, the one important thing that you gain is gratefulness. Being grateful is the second highest frequency. The first highest frequency is love. The second highest frequency is being grateful. I am super grateful for all this opportunity. Thanks to Wasim, thanks to my friend who created this opportunity. This gives me so much happiness. By being grateful. Whenever I receive a message from Wasim, I was like, wow, I'm so grateful. So in that, every time it's like I create a small tile of happiness, and then it brightens me down my day, it brightens my hour, it brightens my time, and then it goes from there. So create being grateful for even the some simple things. I have warm water, and especially in times like this, where in parts of the world where neighbor to you and us are burning, and I have an air conditioned room with an amazing internet and amazing set of audience to listen to my talk. I'm feeling so much grateful, and this keeps me happy. You will not believe, I'm always like, when I finish a talk like this, I'm super high because I feel this grateful. This happiness comes into me, and this is impossible for me to nobody can take this away from me, because I worked hard to do this also. But when it is there, I'm enjoying it also. So in that way, you create small contentment, grateful, being grateful. Be thankful to everybody. When a person does something, be grateful. When a person does something really bad, you try to educate them, and also you learn from that also. It's not only like we need to always be a teacher. This is again a very big problem that we have in a modern times. We cannot be receivers. We cannot be somebody who has to receive. So we always have to provide and provide and provide. We become responsible for people who doesn't want to be happy by themselves. So we feel unhappy because they are not unhappy. They don't want to be happy. So in that way, you are creating unhappiness to yourself because of somebody else's unhappiness, because you're taking responsibility for somebody else. But if you're grateful, that I keep telling, I think some of you, if you know me, and this is the second or third time that you're listening to me, if I could change one person's life even for 1 hour, my life had one meaning in my life. So this is how I look at life. So every hour becomes something that becomes important for me. So be content, be grateful. Be grateful for every small things that is coming into your life. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes difficult things comes, and you are like, why me? Or you can always ask, why not me? Because we are one among the people. We there is a reason for things like this. So if you are grateful that things happen to us, and then we come out as a solution, and we come out in a better and a best format. So you are going to be grateful even for a situation that puts you in that initial stress. As you know, I work with my body we have something called in yoga and isometric hold. So wherein you constantly stress a body part. So for example, you press the body part against this, you constantly give a gradual press, you stress the body on purpose so that it can gradually improve its strength. So if I'm going to do let's stress my biceps, and over a period of time, first I'm going to do with 3 kilos, and then I'm going to do with 5 kilos, and then I'm going to do with 12 kilos. So in that way, I gradually stress my biceps, and you can see you at the end of a month, you see that I am going to have a big biceps. So in that way, stress is something that you need to be grateful that this stress also happened to you. So whenever there is a stressful situation, you have to see with an equanimity of how you can gain something out of this. Yeah. So we have a few more thing, and then we are going to finish in another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah. And then the last but one is self-discipline. So to be happy, I think this is the starting, and then I'm going to end it also. The last thing that you need to be happy is self-discipline. You have to train to be happy every day. So like how Cookie is saying at me like now. So you have to you have to always train yourself to be happy. So by training yourself to be happy, you develop self-discipline. It's not only to be happiness. It's also if you are going to be a yoga teacher, if you go to any yoga class, there is sun salutation, there is pranayama, there is going to be some warriors. So it's going to be a repeat of the same. But why and who and what does on that day changes. You change every day. You evolve every day. So even the repetitions that becomes stronger, and then you go into the next level, and then you go into the next level, and then you create a beautiful flower of a flower. A beautiful flower cannot be one one petal. Okay, I'm going to have only one petal and I call it a beautiful flower. It needs to have layers and layers and layers. So in that way, self-discipline is like this, lots and thousands of these petals. We call in yogic tradition 1,000 petal lotus. So the 1,000 petals is like 1,000 times you did the same exact thing, and then you create a lotus out of it. So by doing this self-discipline, this tapas, this living this life, you are creating character for yourself. You know who Bala is, who you create, who and what holds me, what defines me, and you go from there. So this leads us to self-refinement. We know our true strength, we know our true weakness, and then with that information, what if I, for example, if I'm going to be, if I know that I'm not very good in driving, so this is my true weakness. I'm not very good in driving, and in India, okay, if I need a car, I just can hire because it's not so expensive. So this is my weakness. So what can I do? So the best solution for me to do is hire a car, or I can always complain, oh my goodness, oh I have to take up the car, I have to drive, and then these people don't drive, and then they don't get this thing. So all this tension I avoided just by outsourcing something that is I'm not very good. So knowing our weakness is as good as knowing your strength. So if you know your strength, then it's well and good, but at least take time to note your weaknesses and work from that point. Yeah. So these are the ways that I feel that I gained my state of constant bliss. So from there, you work on 6 more stages to arrive into the blissful state. Every day, remember, we are creating only a mosaic in every second, every minute. So if you wanted to have the number of minutes, because I calculated it, I'm going to tell. So if you are going to live for 50 more years, it's 26,280,000 minutes. So if you can create this much small minutes of happiness, your life will look like a beautiful mosaic from the outside. But if you are creating this many or half of them, or has been spent on worrying and tensed and stressed, if you look your life from a perspective, it's not going to be a beautiful picture. It is going to be some random things that you don't want it to see. So try to try to be content, try to have self-discipline to be happiness. Tame your happiness creature. Every day you go, and then you work hard. If it's not going to happen, the last of the last is surrender. Sometimes things happens and you cannot do really. I'm going to raise my hands, and this is when we call this Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender. So when you are surrendering, what can I do, man? I did all the things that I wanted to, and here it is. So when you are surrendering, it's not in a very passive way. You are actively surrendering. For example, if you believe in God, you can believe in God, and then you can surrender to the wish of God. If you don't believe in God, you can surrender to nature. So any surrender, or to surrender to yourself, surrender to your family, surrender to your friends. So in that way, by surrendering, we are giving a chance to your friends and family to show their love to you. If you are not wanted to receive, I don't want to receive, I'm going to keep my hands closed, and then my friends comes with a beautiful piece of cake. He wants to give me a cake, but I'm not ready to receive. One, I'm not getting the help that I'm supposed to get. Two, I'm stopping my friend to realize his true potential. Yeah. So in that way, by surrendering, we are not passively surrendering. We are receiving the best gift from our friends, family, surroundings, nature, from your future self or from your past self. So in that way, it is one of the least and one of the best and the last way that you can let go of the worries. So sometimes you have to take help, you take help. Sometimes you have to call. I try to cook. Me and cooking not in the same sentence. So whenever I have to day, I surrender. I try to put all the ingredients in the pot, and then I pressure pot it, and then I say, okay, I did my job, and then I surrender. Sometimes it turns out good, and sometimes so in that way, I'm not sad, I'm not worrying. Uh, so these are the ways I was discussing. These are the 10 ways. So 5 yamas and 5 niyamas, which can be the base from which a blissful state of you can be built upon. Yeah, I think with that I will going to end this discussion. If there is any questions, I will be happy to answer. If there is any feedback,